Welcome to the Better Business Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Zelan. Join me week after week as I interview high-level entrepreneurs on their journey to success, both in business and personal development. Each week presents new stories to learn from and new ideas on how to run a better business. Stay updated with all the guests we'll have by subscribing to this podcast. Alrighty, guys, welcome to another episode of Better Business with Austin Zelan. Today we have Mr. Benny Perez with us. I'm so excited for this guest because he is a mindset expert and he really knows how to help people transform their mindset, whether it comes to business or personal development or just becoming more effective and better at life. So not only are you going to become better at business, you're going to become better at life after this episode. So very, very excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining me. And today I wanted to maybe just give people a little bit of background. I know you're into like pastoring and the church world, but you also have business. Yes. So you're coaching people through their business life, through their business journey, based on biblical principles and things that you have learned in your own career. So just tell us a little bit more about what you do, especially on the business side.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you today. Yeah, you said it. I'm a pastor of a church in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we started with 27 people, and now it's grown into thousands. And on my journey, I began to realize something, that people were limiting themselves based upon how they saw themselves, how they viewed themselves. And then as they begin to talk about themselves, I began to realize something. Wow, people are limiting themselves based upon their mindset and how they view themselves. And so much of it plays into our lives, not just in our faith, but even in our business. As a result of that, I just started being asked, hey, could you help me with my life? Could you help me with my business? And out of that, things have been accelerating because I really believe that people can achieve what I believe God puts in their heart, but also if they shift just a few things in how they think, their life will go in a different direction.
Absolutely. And I think that, when I was a very young business person, I didn't realize how important mindset was. I thought that it was solely based on my skills and my abilities. So I would think, oh, well, I'm not skilled enough to do that, so I can't. And I always just kind of tied it to performance and skill. And I think we're partially trained to think that way, even through school. Like I never remember having a mindset class in school, but I was always graded based on my skills or my performance. And so going into the business world or my career, I was thinking, wow, I don't have enough skill to do that. I don't have the ability to do that. But I realized that most of it is actually in your mindset, because if you have the mindset that you have that ability or that you can learn it easily, it will be so. And you can learn those things easily.
No, 100%. I could tell you in my own life, that I was in high school many years ago, and I had a teacher, we had a speech class, and I had a teacher tell me that don't ever go into public speaking. You're not good at it.
Wow.
Okay, so here I am, a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
And somebody in authority, right? An expert says, don't go into public speaking. And that was a seed that got planted in my mind.
Yeah.
So I began to tell myself, I can't do that. She told me I can't do that. And what I didn't realize is that actually was my calling was to become a speaker, but this person who maybe didn't pan out for her or him, now they're trying to limit me. And I begin to realize something, that I'm not going to let somebody else's opinion of me dictate how my life is going to go.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's so interesting that you mentioned that it was exactly your calling, and that's what they told you not to do. And I think I've heard that so many times where people are like, yeah, somebody told me I couldn't do it, and that's what motivated me to do it. So do you feel like that was a motivational thing, or were you like, oh man, well, maybe it's not for me?
Well, at first, I got to be honest, at first it's like, wow, are they right? But as I progressed through high school, and then I began to go into university, I begin to see, wait, I'm actually pretty good at something they said I could not do. And then that motivation, Austin, kicked in. It's like, what? You said I can't do that? And there was a fire inside of me that said, no, you can do that. And then what I did is I said, you know what? I'm gonna hone my craft, right? I'm gonna get better at my skill. And that's what I did. I've spoken now in over 27 nations. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken in front of is 400,000 people.
Wow.
Now, here's somebody that told me in high school, you're not good at public speaking.
Yeah.
And there I am speaking to a crowd of 400,000 people.
That's crazy.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I kind of have an epiphany. I'm thinking, whoa, I'm standing in front of this massive crowd. And yet somebody tried to limit me with what their viewpoint was of me.
Mm.
And one of my mentors said this about me. He said this to me. He said, Benny, he says, God's opinion makes man's opinion irrelevant. Find out what God says about you.
Mm.
And I began to realize there's a God that says with him, all things are possible. And there are no limitations that God puts on us. We put so many limitations on ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of those limitations are imposed by us as humans because of something that we think or that somebody told us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that probably helped you kickstart your journey on that process of eliminating these limitations, is because somebody tried to place them on you and you realized that that was just a human limitation and you need to remove that limitation in order to get to the next level. I know many times in my life, I've had certain thoughts that I thought were the limit of what I could do. Or maybe, okay, if I ever get here, I'll be lucky. But I knew that I had to break through those limitations mentally first, and that would open up the ability to achieve more and to do more and more and more. And it's kind of like a momentum effect where once you start getting one win, you keep winning and winning and winning, and it just kind of snowballs into bigger wins. And I think that's the most beautiful part. But that hard part is just getting that first win.
100%. And I think you said it so well. I think some people procrastinate so much because there's a fear of failure or fear of doing it not the right way. And I coach people, I'm saying, listen, your procrastination is probably based in the fact that you might be a perfectionist, and perfectionists don't want to do anything or try anything unless they get it perfect. But I want to just encourage people, listen, done beats perfect every time. And if we take, as you said, that first step, and then, whoa, okay, this is working. And the next step, it's always the hardest step to take is the first step, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Definitely. And I think one important aspect of business in general is that you can't improve unless you're in motion. If you're standing in one place, you can never get better because you don't have any momentum. But once you start moving, and even if you're moving in the wrong direction, quite frankly, it doesn't matter what direction you're moving in. But as long as you're moving, then you can realize, oh, hey, maybe I'm on the wrong path, and you can course correct. But you have to take that first step and you have to start moving. And then once you have momentum working for you, then you can course correct and improve and grow and run a better business.
100%. And you know, obviously, you know, people are listening, and they should, to this incredible podcast. And I like what you just said. It's not all the time just about perfection, and it might not even be the right direction, but you've got to start moving. Right?
Yeah.
You can't steer a car that is in park, right?
Exactly.
You got to start driving that car. And guess what? If you have to make a U-turn, you can make a U-turn. You can't make a U-turn if you're just staying still.
Yeah.
And so I think that's so important for people to start moving in a direction. And what I've learned, I moved in a direction, so I thought I was going to be an accountant. I went to university and I started down that direction. I was actually being recruited by some top accounting firms. But then I realized, wait a second, I don't think that's the right direction. So I course corrected. And next thing I know, oh man, I think I've really found now the direction, not a direction, but the direction.
The direction.
And now that direction led me into a faith-based world. And now I'm encouraging people and helping people. And now I'm finding, oh wait, there's another direction too, which I can help business people, right? With the same mindset shifts that I've made in my life, I can help them because I'm basing it on something that I believe to be eternal and true, not something that's just going to oh, that was good. No, there's something, as you said, about biblical principles that help us shape the way that we think.
Yeah. Accounting fades away, but biblical principles never fade away.
So true. And I'm glad, listen, if you're an accountant and that's what God's called you to do, and that's your direction, that's awesome. But I know I wasn't called to do that full time.
Yeah, definitely. So part of that journey, though, moving past those limitations and improving and running a better business, I think learning plays such an important role. And how have you seen learning and just like expanding your knowledge base to push your momentum forward, push your business forward, and take you to the next level? How have you seen it impact that?
I think for me, as we started our business and we broke 6 figures now, and we're believing to break 7 figures coming up in our business.
Mm-hmm.
What I found out is I have to find people that are further down the road than me. So I have mentors in my life, and these mentors are 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs. And so I go to them and I ask questions. Real wisdom says, I want to learn from your mistakes, not my mistakes. So how can I connect with people that are further down the road? And here's the thing, I don't want just information, but I want to have wisdom, which means what they tell me, Austin, what you tell me, I'm going to implement in my life. Too many people just want information, but it's not information, it's revelation when it becomes something to you that moves you. So when I wanted to start speaking more, I had a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, hey, here's what you need to do to become better at speaking. And here's what you need to do so you can now find more opportunities to speak. I didn't try and do it on my own. And one thing I learned, and I've been at this a long time now, is even now, I'm always looking for somebody who's gone further, who's done more, and that helps me, because my mindset can be limited till I get around somebody that recently told me. I was at a conference, and he said to me, he says, you know what? I just see you making $3.5 million in your business this year. Million. I'm happy to maybe, get close to $1 million. And just listening to him, he was telling me how he has made $1 million in an hour.
Wow.
And all the stuff that he has done. And just sitting, have this conversation with one of my mentors, my mind just went boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It opened up your mind to new opportunities and new levels.
100%. 100%. And then he just began to talk to me. He says, think back at your life. He says, how much did you make when you had your first job? I worked at McDonald's. I don't know. I made maybe $5,000. He says, you can actually make more money in a short amount of time. And he began to talk to me about that. I'll give you an example. One of my businesses is I do trading. And I've had
stock trading?
Yes, stock trading.
Okay.
Yeah, stock trading. And recently I just sat back and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just had a $25,000 day. And wait a second, I look back and I'm like, wait a second, I had a $15,000 hour. If you would have told me a few years ago that I could make in 1 hour $15,000, I would like, what? But I found a mentor. I found somebody that helped me. And now my mind, when it comes to business and opportunities, is thinking bigger because somebody helped me stretch my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's such an important role. So mentors, I think, have played probably one of the biggest roles in my learning and growth. Are there any other sources that you go to in order to learn, like maybe books or podcasts or anything, or is it just solely mentors?
Well, I say it this way. I have mentors that mentor me like one-on-one, like physically.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of mentors via YouTube University.
YouTube University.
And I go on YouTube. I work out in the morning.
Yeah.
And when I work out, I have one of the guys that I listen to religiously. I mean, I will tell you, and I tell everybody, you need to listen to this guy. And I finally got to meet him about 6 weeks ago.
So who is it?
You want to know who this guy is?
We want to know.
He's amazing. His name is Myron Golden.
Myron Golden. Yeah.
Myron Golden.
Yeah.
A lot of people have probably heard of Myron. If you haven't, on YouTube, Myron Golden is money when it comes to business, when it comes to expansion, mindset.
Yeah.
And so I had the opportunity of being with Myron at a conference in Atlanta. We hit it off. And he goes, hey, why don't you come and hang out with me? I live in Tampa. I said, absolutely. So I'm going to make plans. I'll fly to Tampa. I'll go hang out with them. I'll golf with them. Why? Because he expands my mindset. So definitely YouTube. Books that I'm reading right now. Big shout out. Erwin McManus's latest book, Mind Shift. game changer, 100% game changer. Another friend of mine, John Maxwell. Me and John did a conference together at my church. And John has a book called The Self-Aware Leader.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a mindset shifting book. So books, YouTubes, and then one-on-one mentoring.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so important to surround yourself with the people that are already where you want to be, and definitely people that are at the next level. And of course, for everybody, I think that there are multiple levels of mentors that you should have. You should have people that are slightly ahead of you, or people that are maybe like a couple steps ahead, and then people who are just like miles ahead of you, because that gives you the picture to work towards. If you want to be like those people that are miles ahead, maybe you don't. But for me personally, I know there are people that are way, way, way further ahead than I am, and I want to get to that level. So for me, it's like a good milestone that, oh, okay, I want to reach that. But then I also have people who are a little bit closer to where I'm at today that can help me step by step systematically get to that level up there. So very, very important. And then of course, books and stuff. I have a huge collection of books at home. Just like shelves and shelves of books. Huge fan of that. I know back in my younger days, I used to read a whole book in one day. I don't do that anymore, but it was definitely like shorter books. But you know, when I was I don't know, high school or something, I used to read a lot. But now I still read as much as I can, and I find a lot of really valuable information that I can apply in my own business. So how important do you think environment is for leaders or for business owners? Like, I know I've had environments in my life that weren't so conducive to learning. Learning was not a priority. Doing, growing was not a priority. Doing certain things that allowed me to become a better businessman wasn't a thing. And then when I surrounded myself with the right people, for those people, it is a thing. Everything that they do brings them to more business growth. It brings them to personal growth. And so it started changing my mind that, hey, maybe I should be focusing on the things that are causing me to grow more, that are causing me to become a more successful person.
No, 100%. There's a scripture that says, you run with the wise, you become wise. So I think it's so important for you to cultivate the environment you want.
Yeah.
So many of us are going by default, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I guess this way my life is going to be, but you don't have to live life by default. You could say, no, I'm going to live my life by design. So purposely, you need to design an environment for yourself. So for instance, I have a place at my house. I have my office at my house.
Yeah.
And I created that environment that is very positive. And I'm a basketball fan. So I have autographed basketballs from Steph Curry, LeBron James, some of the greatest players that ever played the game and are presently playing. I have autographs. Somebody said, wow, you have such a great, basketball collection. This is amazing. But what they don't know is I have it on these shelves and I look at that and I'm saying, these men did something great. I like to surround myself with great things that remind me, wait, if they could be great in their business, which is basketball, I could be great in my business. I'm a big believer of what you're listening to. What you're putting in your ears. I tell people, hey, you're driving, turn that into your university, put on a podcast like Better Business and get yourself in that mindset. You can architect your own environments at times.
Yeah.
And too many of us just want to go, well, the way I grew up, or I'm just negative, or my family was that way. And I tell people, listen, your family may have been this way, may have been a great family, but you are responsible now.
Yeah.
For saying, no, I'm going to create an environment where I can flourish and I can grow. So quite honestly, I don't want to be around negative people.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around people that are always finding out what's wrong and what's wrong with the world and what's wrong. And is a recession coming? And I tell people, listen, some of the people that made the most money have made it in the worst times, because what other people saw as there's no opportunities. People come in and say, this is the greatest opportunity to make money. Surround yourself with great people and an environment that will instill in you, no, I want to grow. Like you said, I want to move forward. I want to do more with my life. And when I get around those people, I get more excited. And I want to be around people like yourself that say, hey, I feel like I should start this. let's go. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So 100% be an architect of your own environment.
And I think sometimes it's so easy for us to just avoid that responsibility where we're not thinking that, oh, the life that I have right now is by design. Well, it's by design whether you realize it or not. Even if you have a job right now, it's not always positive. Like sometimes it's negative. Sometimes we negatively design our life and try to avoid responsibility. For example, if you have a job that you hate or a lifestyle that you hate, well, you literally designed it. In fact, you went and applied for that job. You sent them your resume and you applied and interviewed for that job. And now if you hate it, you literally designed that. And so the same thing goes for the positive side, of course. If I want to create a lifestyle that I enjoy living and a job that I love or a career or a business, whatever it is, I have to purposefully design it with that end goal in mind. This is what I want with my life and this is what I'm designing. So very, very important. And another thing that you mentioned is when people want to grow, they have to be very intentional about it. It doesn't just happen on accident. You have to like purposefully put yourself into that forward momentum. You have to put yourself into forward gear and start moving towards that. So environment does play a huge role and the people that are in that environment as well. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is some people might be watching this and they're thinking, okay, well, this is great. I understand the point. I want to grow. I want to surround myself with these people. Where can I find the people that are going to help me grow? Where can I find the mentors or people that inspire me to surround myself?
And that's a great question. I mean, for me and what I tell some of the people that I'm helping is, first of all, where do you want your life to go? So if you're in the business world and who's successful in the business world, and people always say, well, I can't meet them. And I tell people, you could meet them via YouTube. Start looking at some great podcasts. So for me, I know where I'm going. So I'm going to find those people on YouTube. And some of you may know the names I would mention, but you can do it. I just think, here's what I'm going to say. And some people are going to disagree, but that's okay. Is that you've got to get away from the EIR. The electronic income reducer, EIR. Electronic income reducer. You know what that is?
What is that?
It's called TV. It's called Netflix. Just vegging out, not doing anything with your life. Listen, I think you need some outlets. That's all good. I like sports. But what would happen if you became intentional and said, I'm going to grow? And this is the greatest era. You can go to YouTube and listen to some of the greatest podcasts. Okay. Subscribe to Better Business, right? Subscribe to this. Why? Because Austin, you're going to be bringing guests and you're going to be dropping all kinds of gold here, and people, don't waste your time. Listen, this is the moment for you to say, you're not listening, you're not watching by accident. This is actually what I believe to be, what I would believe God orchestrating your steps. And you could begin to say, you know what, this year is going to be my best year. If you're in business, I'm going to subscribe to Better Business. I'm going to now become intentional. But one thing I've learned, when you become intentional, there's going to be disruption after that. And this is where most people get sidetracked. You become intentional. Let me give you a great example. I became intentional on, I'm going to get in better shape. I'm going to work out. You know what happened the first time I worked out? The next day, I was sore. I felt like I couldn't move my arms, right? Why? Because I'm intentional with working out, but I was disrupting things in my body. Most people want to start something and feel better. But that doesn't happen all the time. In fact, when you start something, it's going to be a little bit disruptive, but when you push through that disruption, so you know what? I worked out the day after that, and I worked out, and I worked out, and I'm proud to say 28 workouts later, okay, I'm not waking up sore anymore. And I've seen a change in my physical health, but I got intentional knowing that disruption was going to come. But I just said that's part of the process of continuing to improve and grow.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You bring up an interesting point. And I know maybe some people would disagree with this, and maybe it's just because they don't want to admit it. But sometimes when you become intentional and you start down that path of growth, it doesn't immediately get better. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. But through that process of getting worse, that's where the growth happens. And once you grow, then it does get better because you you've created this new goal or this thing that you want to achieve, and life is testing you and seeing if you deserve to be at that level. And I think that like I've seen that happen in my personal life multiple times where I achieve a level and then life starts testing you again. It's like, well, do you really deserve to be up here?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, I want to go to the next level. And then do I really deserve to be up here or up here or up here? And life will keep testing you. And I mean, even in the Bible, it says like time and seasons happen to everybody. And that's just tests. Those are tests to see whether if you have that staying power to be where you're at and take things to the next level.
100%. I think, and I'm glad you brought that up, because why am I having adversity, right? And I tell people, listen, you all have a mission in life. Find out what that mission is, your calling, what you feel like you're supposed to do. But if you don't have any opposition to your mission, you have no mission. So just me having adversity, life is testing me, is telling me I'm on the mission that I was put on this planet to do, and adversity gets you stronger, right? One of my mentors, John Maxwell, he said to me recently, Benny, remember this, there's not winning and losing, there's winning and learning. And that, whoa, boom, okay, I'm not losing, I'm learning, and I'm getting better. So I love that you bring that up, because some people think they're off track because there's adversity or tests coming their way. You're not. That's usually a sign that you're on the right track.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to achieve their full potential in business or in life or whatever it may be, if they want to achieve their full potential, how important do you think it is to have personal growth?
Well, I don't think you can achieve anything unless you're growing. And, I believe that you have to have personal growth, obviously, in your mind. I think even your body, exercising, set some goals. But if you're not growing, people think, well, I'm just going to be in neutral. You're not in neutral.
Yeah, no such thing.
There's no such thing, right? You're either growing or you're stagnating. And you have to choose. And the rate of growth is determined by what decisions you're making in your life, right? And so start with the small ones, but I choose to grow. So how are you going to grow? Well, I tell people the books you read and the people you associate with, those two things will determine not just your growth, but the rate of your growth. So like you said it so good. I'm going to find some people a little bit ahead of me. Okay. And then some people that are a little bit further down the road. And then these monsters that are there that are like, whoa, but you cannot achieve without growing. And there's going to be growing pains. So let this be the year where you say, you know what? It might be painful. Life's going to test me, but I'm going to choose to grow and start on that journey. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I think a lot of our viewers here, they want to run a better business. And so they've understood the aspect of growing and learning and all that stuff. And so through your journey, even working with different entrepreneurs, what have you seen to be maybe like the top 2 or 3 areas or skill sets that they can develop beyond mindset to allow them to grow? Is it just maybe like business operations or sales and marketing or customer service? What areas do you think can help people immediately impact their business?
Number 1, systems.
Systems. I love that.
Have a system that is not just, you could replicate that system, but is it scalable?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the key. So it may work at 6 figures, but will it work at 7 figures, 8 figures? So you have to develop a system that's going to help you continue to grow. Number 1. Number 2, team. 100% team. What kind of team are you building? Because the people who are on your team are going to determine the pace, the progress, and it will determine how far your business is going to go. So not everybody is going to grow with you.
Yeah.
I want people to grow with me. In fact, on my team, I'll provide them with everything I can for them to grow, because I want them to grow with me. But I've learned this: not everybody is going to grow with you.
Yeah.
That's hard. If you really love people, it really is hard. And some people in my journey have grown with me, but there have been some that didn't want to grow or didn't feel like they could go to the next level. And I try to help them. And so they shift and they go on to another journey, another path, which is fine.
Yeah.
But systems and team over and over again. And that's what I've helped people, one of my friends. And it was good when you had 5 employees, but what do you do when you have 140?
Yeah.
And now the system was not working.
Yeah.
And the way he was handling employees wasn't working. And so he's developed a better system and he's working to develop his team.
Yeah, I think what you're saying about systems is so important. And I've had times in my business where like we just grew too fast and we didn't really know what we were doing. So our systems started breaking and then we had to like tear everything apart and build new systems, because it's really growth is a test of your systems. And so once you start developing better systems, you start developing a better business and you can start delivering better and all that stuff. So very, very important. Now, as far as team goes, I very much agree with you. I do think that there are certain people that are only there to be with you until a certain level. After that point, you've outgrown them. And if they don't want to grow, they can no longer be part of the team, which is for me, it's a painful process, having to like redistribute roles, so to speak.
Right.
So for your business, how do you source these people? Is it just people that are attracted to your personal brand? Do you have like ads out or is it just referrals? How do you build that dream team?
That's a great question. I mean, for me, because I've had so many opportunities to speak around the country and around the world, I've developed relationships just with people. And it's amazing for me. I'll tell you one employee that I have right now, team member, Steven Tronis. The guy is a 10 out of a 10. And I've known him for a few years. And then I begin to develop my new company that we're getting ready to launch, another company we're getting to launch. And I went to him, I said, hey, my wife says, I think you may be gifted in doing this. He goes, absolutely I am. And as I sat down and talked to him, now I've known him for years, but now I didn't realize the gold mine that was sitting right here. And so for me, it's the relationships that I have and then just having the conversations. And so for him, he says, oh, I can do that. Oh, I know how to build a platform, Kajabi. I know how to do coaching programs. I know how to do that. And instead of bringing it on as an employee, he's actually part of my team and he wants to grow the company with me. So for me, relationship is key. There's nothing wrong with maybe doing ads or, finding somebody who's going to go out and find a team member for you. But for me, my best success has been with people that I've had a prior relationship with, not knowing their gift mix. And then all of a sudden, this opportunity comes for me. And then these people begin to appear. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah, I've experienced that a lot in my business as well. Like relationships are so key. Building a relationship with somebody is not just a transaction. It's not just like, hey, I need this or you need that. It's building real relationships. And I like to do it with no expectation of anything. If I like spending time with this person, I'm going to spend time with them. If I like partnering with them on different projects, I'll partner with them on projects. And if in the future, I have an opportunity to add value to them, I will. If they have an opportunity to add value to me, hopefully they will as well. But relationships have been one of the biggest drivers to my success, even as far as like my coaching company goes. We have, different investment opportunities. Almost all of them are sourced from personal relationships. A lot of our investors, we source investors from personal relationships. And then of course, even many of the people that I have hired is just personal relationships or referrals from personal relationships. So that is such an important aspect of business. It kind of like, it takes all these logical aspects of business, these hard facts and numbers and KPIs, and it ties them together. Relationship is like the glue that holds everything together.
100%. Yeah. And I think it's important for us to, and you said it so well, it's not transactional, right? I want to build a relationship, and some people, I may never, quote, be part of my company, but I just like hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage people, have people on your team that you like. What a novelty, right? Because you can spend a lot of time with somebody. You want to get to like them, obviously, and do life with them. But that's so good to make sure that, we're relational and that's not just always transactional.
Yeah, definitely. So what's one way, I know you've had some coaching clients, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you've helped them grow their businesses as far as mindset goes. And is there a specific process, like as an add-on, is there a specific process that you've used to bring out their top skills? So they're improving their mindset, but are you also helping them find, okay, I'm really good at this, this, and this, so I need to double down on that?
Yeah. I think for sure. I think the one thing that helped one individual, his company grew so fast.
Yeah.
Then he was trying to do so many things. And I said to him, listen, you've got to let go, quote, delegate all these things. And this was a big one for him. Him and his wife run this great company, and they were so set on, well, nobody can do it as good as you. Well, true, but this one thing helped change him. Can that individual do it 70% as good as you?
Yeah.
Right? Well, yeah. Then give it to them. And as they offloaded, like you said, right, the things off their plate, and they stayed true as founders of the company, what they could only do, which is social media, doing a podcast, getting their brand out there, looking at doing other things with their company. Give it away. Get things off your plate that other people can do. There's a great leadership guy. His name is Dr. Sam Chand. And he told me years ago, Benny, if somebody could do it 70% as good as you, give it to them and run with it. So for me, I think if people could learn to delegate with authority, not just, okay, do this, but give them authority after you train them to start making decisions. And you're going to see those people go maybe from 70% to 80%, and you could coach them and get training for them to go higher while you stay focused on the most important thing. I'm a pastor. My thing right now, it's one of the things I do is vision for the church. What is the series that we're going to be doing? I'm not so concerned about the facility. I'm not concerned about all the other things, which when we first started with 27 people, I had to be concerned that. Now we have over 4,000 people. I'm not concerned about those things. They're going to get done.
Yeah.
What's the one thing as a business owner? How can I have a better business? Focus on the things that you can only do.
Yeah.
And double down on those and let everything else. I mean, you probably have experiences like that with your companies that have grown so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important that as business owners, we focus on those things that we're really, really good at, and we delegate as much as we possibly can. And one thing that I've had an issue with is trying to figure out what those things are, because a lot of times there were things that I thought only I could do, but really there's other people that can do them. And I did think that the value of that service or that whatever it was that we were providing was in me doing it. But truthfully, as long as clients are getting the same results, they don't really care who's actually executing on it. And so that has helped me scale the business for sure. And I love how you talked about if somebody can do it 70% as good as I can, because I've heard that those numbers before, and we've actually done like a whole training on it. But it's like, if I have me working on something, I can only do maximum 100%. But if I just hire 2 people that can do 70% each, I'm doing 140% of the work without having to do any of the work, because now I can focus on the things that I'm actually good at and what that one thing is that I'm really, really good at, instead of trying to do 100% of everything. So it's definitely a huge aspect of it, and very, very important. So thank you for sharing about that. Is there any final thoughts that you want to leave with our audience about how they can run a better business?
I think what you said so good is double down on your strengths.
Yeah.
Double down on those, right? Well, I don't know exactly what those are. Well, find somebody that can help you pull that out of you, but definitely double down on your strengths. Get around other visionaries. Get in environments where your mind just goes, wow, all things are possible. Man, I can go to the next level. Our business can go from 7 to 8 figures. This is just amazing. And for me, I would encourage people to find, an anchor in something rather than just success or money. Find an anchor. And for me, just encourage people, find your anchor in God, right? Find your anchor in your faith and see what God does in your faith. So I just want to say thank you so much. And if people want to know, you can find me on Instagram at Benny Perez.
Yep.
And, hopefully it'll help them out a little bit just looking at some of the stuff we post.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for hopping on here. Guys, you heard it from the man himself, Mr. Benny Perez, how important mindset is, how important systems are, and how important it is to surround yourself with those people that are going to open up your mindset to that next level. Because once you can see what's actually possible, that helps you start building those goals and building a vision and going step by step towards a better business. Alrighty, guys, we'll see you all on the next episode. Thanks for joining us.